This is the story of the exile and return. For today's story, we'll meet the desert box, the people of God, and the materials for this story. This is the desert. The desert is a dangerous place. There is no food or water in the desert. People can die in the desert. When the wind blows, the shape of the desert changes. You can lose your way. The sun is so hot that people wear many clothes to keep the sun from burning their skin. When the wind blows, the sand stings your face and hands. People need protection from the blowing sand. At night it is cold, and you need many clothes to keep warm. The desert is a dangerous place. People do not go there unless they have to. Here is Jerusalem. Here is the wall. Inside is the temple, built for God. Here are the people of God. The people knew that God was in the temple, but they also thought it was the only place where you could pray to God. People thought the wall of the city would protect them from everything. But then the Assyrians came and they attacked the city. It was a terrible time. People fought and some starved to death. Finally, the Assyrians went away. Then the Babylonians came, and they did not go away. Their king wanted the city of Jerusalem to himself. They broke down the walls. They destroyed the temple. People died. They took many of the people away. Only a few were left. The soldiers marched God's people away from Jerusalem. They looked back at the smoke of the burning city and wondered if they would ever see it again. As they walked through the desert, they had to get up when the soldiers said. They had to eat what the soldiers said. They had to go where the soldiers said. They had to go to bed when the soldiers said. They grew weary, and some died. Took a long, long time. The people were in exile. They could not go home. When they came to Babylon, they hung their harps on the weeping willow trees and sang sad, songs. They dreamed of Jerusalem and the temple, but they could not go back. They even faced Jerusalem when they said their prayers. Slowly, God's people began to understand that God was in this place too. God's presence came to them as they gathered to read the scriptures, to tell the old stories, and to pray. The king of Babylon allowed many of God's people to work. They set up little stores, and some worked for the king. It was a shock when the king of Persia came with his army and took Babylon for himself. This new king began to let some of the people go back to Jerusalem. Some went with Ezra, and they began to rebuild the temple. More were allowed to go back. They went with Nehemiah. With Nehemiah, they built the walls around the city again. The people were no longer in exile. They could go home again. Do you know what happened? Not all of them went home. Some stayed. Now they knew God was in the strange and foreign land. Some stayed because God was there too. Now I wonder what part of the story you liked best. I wonder what part is most important. I wonder where you are in the story, or what part of the story is about you. I wonder if there is any part of the story we could leave out and still have all the story we need.